So here's the things, the pro tips on how to use this assessment the best way. So remember, it's 4 assessments, not 1. It's not a test. We just asked you some questions in this state of mind that you're in today about certain things. So we have a Holland profile, we have a theory of work adjustment profile, and we run an algorithm on both of these scores. Some assessments, they just do one assessment, interests, like a RIASEC profile, and they say, hey, people that score like you generally like this career field. Yeah, we publish that, but that's not what we do. What we do is we take your scores with an algorithm, that patented algorithm, and we show you some connections of exploration towards a vocation. So not by a major, not by anything that's academically related. We're saying, look, in the world of work, Eric, looking at your pathway by subject, things that are in this field of education, sales and marketing, and human services, there are plenty of vocations that you're going to love if you explore those fields, those subjects. Sadly, I told everybody I wanted a business degree. See how far I'm going down the screen? And then I concentrated in information technology. And you see the number of vocations that are out there that would be a really great fit for me. Vocations I'd find joy and purpose and meaning in, there wasn't a lot, right? So this is just a quick way for you to validate, am I thinking about my why, right? Simon Sinek's, I'm going to university, but why? What do I want to get out of it? And largely 90% of the time, all students will say, I want a joyful and sustainable job, a career, and I want my university experience to be paid for by the career pathway. I get an ROI on their education investment. So looking at this, it's just a really quick way to think about it and say, these 3 things for me, I could probably explore a little harder. So if I'm majoring in engineering, right, that's not to say that I couldn't teach engineering or be a sales engineer or engineer devices for human services, right? So I want you to think of that, of this pathway this way. Another way to think about it is by that predisposed idea. Now, all of you guys, you generally know what you want to study and you generally know what your major is going to be probably by the time you are like in 8th grade. But this gives you a chance to explore that. So me personally, if I had studied business, probably needed to spell it correctly, but if I had studied business, right? Business as a career choice, what we do is we allow you to provide some filters. So business, associate's degree, there's not a lot of vocational pathways that I'm excited about based on just that limited level of education. But with a bachelor's degree or a graduate degree, I start to see different explorations. Now, Nathan said something that I loved. First generation students, students from rural America, and students that come from different cultural backgrounds. We've worked with a number of foundations, and you are the product of your environment, right? Well, we worked with a school in the south side of Chicago, we still do. Those students were like you. They're getting a grant, they're getting scholarships, they've been coached and loved up, they go into college, but most of those Comer preparatory school students were going into things that they were familiar with, law, human services, and things that they'd experienced, right? So the idea of what we try to do is enlighten your thinking towards a career destination that you may have never thought of before, so that when you see this and you're like, okay, if I go to business, what is public relations funding manager? This exploration ability kind of paints a picture and tells you, okay, yeah, that could be a sustainable life. You guys tell me I'm a strong fit for it. What's it look like day in the life? What are the knowledge, skills, and abilities that I'm going to have to develop? And Onette's got a problem today. But this gives you the ability to understand what you're going to need to do in university to end up in that type of destination. And these are the programs, the general programs of study that you can explore. So, okay, you found this vocation. Now you see that there's a pathway of studying communications to get there. You can also then explore the careers within communications. So I want you to think of this platform not as it told me to be. I want you to think of this platform as a compass of where you should explore vocational destinations and map an education pathway to get there. So if I was to type in engineer, I would tell you, I am not going to find joy, purpose, and meaning in being an engineer. I might be smart enough to do it, but if I was an engineer in those fields that made me excited, then I'd typically push through thermodynamics. I'd push through fluids because I knew that there was a destination on the end. How many of you, and you can just raise your hand, are a little worried that you might not have picked the right major? One. That's good. That's good. And trust me, no matter where you are in your education cycle, second year, fourth year, sixth year, maybe you're going to medical school or maybe you're going to law school, you will have these moments where you're like, uh-oh, did I pick the right thing? And this is a really good way to validate that there are career destinations that you could think of that would be a very good fit to find work and do your work and have a joyful and sustainable life. The other things that we offer are tools, right? So your coaches work with you every day, and these tools go really well in alignment to the things that they're telling you. How do you talk about yourself in a cover letter or a resume? How do you network yourself in maybe an event like a mixer, or how do you conduct yourself in an interview? These are all the standard types of tools that are out there, but reading them, knowing them, using techniques like the STAR technique are going to set you apart. And then taking the language that we've given you by your assessments and applying it, that's going to really help you as well. So the last thing I'm going to show you is the job section. So the job section here is a connector to Indeed. So literally, if I know that I'm going to be, I want to explore the job role of public relations, I could do this type of search and search for jobs. And I'm searching in 80526, but let me search New York. So New York, entry-level public relations. What we do is we pull postings that are Indeed, and we run a second algorithm. So the first algorithm I had, freshman, sophomore, even junior year, told me that I was a good fit for public relations. I already knew that. I went to school, I got the credentials and the chops to do the work. Now I'm looking for the work. The second algorithm we run looks at the Boolean string of the work they're going to ask me to do. And this shows me that not all jobs are the same. So when I look at this, there's plenty of entry-level public relations roles, but knowing how the job is going to ask me to act, behave, or do, this gives me just a quick glimpse on understanding the differences. And so then if you go to apply for that job with that company, you can look back on your scores and you can say, okay, in my mind as a candidate applying for this job, I know I don't need any stability. I need to be measured. I want things to change regularly. I need a lot of collaboration and I want to live the brand. I want to wear their shirt, live with the flag over my desk. And then you can ask questions of the employer about those things. Like, how do you measure your employees? And when we talk about your brand distinction and your excellence, Apple, you know, what's your vision of the future? And so the idea of having this language, having this tool for exploration, having this tool for connections, and then showing you that it's got value at every step along your lifelong learner journey. That's what Trinity Education Foundation is giving you. It's a gift for life, and it's your life compass. So that should take me pretty much to a point where we can ask some questions, probably like for 5 more minutes. How can I help?
Eric, that was awesome, first of all. It's always refreshing to hear you talk about it versus me. You know, Ben, I just want to also say thank you for being honest about maybe not being, you know, completely sure about the degree you've chosen. It's part of why we do what we do, because we do find that a lot of colleges and even in high school anymore, they're kind of asking you to decide something you're not ready to decide, right? And so we've had a couple of situations. We've, in fact, Rosemary's worked with a couple of students who started kind of with a generic degree approach. Like one was business admin, which tends to be very common. I'll just pursue business, right? And then realized along the way, by the time they were sophomore, realized, you know what? I actually really want to go into social work. And so using what Rosemary already does and using this, this as platform helped to decide where that person would go and what was the best choice for them. Because it does come back to, Eric, what you're doing is reaffirming the whole idea of the Buechner quote that I give everyone is that, you know, when you are in your greatest place of joy within a career, within your journey through your life career, when you have that joy, you will meet the world's deep need. Right? Eric's doing a job that fulfills him, that gives him joy. And in the process, fills a need that we had to help our students, right? So he's doing something that actually meets that. So Ben, one of the things that we'll walk you through and Rosemary will be helping with is really deciding, am I on the right track or do I need to maybe look at something else? So I'll just throw that out. And do any of you guys have any questions about this and understanding it more?
I do have a question, actually. So I was wondering, is this something that the assessments, is this something that we will take kind of every year? Is it a one-time, once and done kind of thing? That's just what I'm a little bit curious about.
I love it. Yeah, that's a great question. I'm going to answer it in two parts. One, the scientific part. So what we did is we looked at your interests and your values. And scientifically, it's proven that your interests and your values are pretty set by the time you're like 14, 15 years old. But your personality measure is a conflict in yourself. Like if we look at my personality, you know, I'm a bombastic individual. You could see that, right? And so when I look at my personality measure, it freaks me out a little bit to look at this and then kind of drill into it and say, oh, you know, people might not perceive me as the most humble guy or the most honest guy because I'm bombastic. And that makes me nervous. And so, but what's important is I know that. What's important is that I can represent that in my dialogue and my communications with people and teams and like big groups. I mean, you're my second big group of the day. I always have to check that hubris at the door. So personality measures can sort of shift a little. And you can retake these assessments as many times as you want. One assessment that will change over time based on your experience in working with people, even scholars and even with team members and even in school and even for your employers, is your workplace preferences. We'll ask a graduate generally, hey, what kind of company are you looking to work for? And they'll say octobike meetings and free fruit and bagels. I want a kayak to work. And yeah, those are great perks, but that's not the psychometric drivers that are going to make me happy. A company that measures and collaborates and lives that brand of brand distinction, and I feel proud working for Apple, that is going to make me happy. So knowing this is very important. The second answer, part of the answer, is remember, we're a compass. And at every stage along your lifelong learning journey, right, there's going to be these moments where you need to take that compass out and use it as a director to better understand yourself, a director to think about a different career pathway, a director to explore a new area. Like Jenny's story, I love, like maybe I majored in business, maybe I became an accountant and I was good at it. And then I hated the job. I was good at it. It was lucrative. They're throwing money at me. I think it's awesome. I could log into PathwayU as a 30-year-old. And with the question, should I go back and get a master's degree? But I could also learn that I could just easily pivot to a different type of vocational path within the knowledge set I've already developed because I went to school for a business degree. Is that helpful?
Yes, it was. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
I will add that you guys have lifetime access. Eric, even if we disappeared one day, if Trinity Education Foundation no longer existed, they would still have lifetime access, correct?
Well, I think there would be a big gigantic crack in the earth because you would never go away. But if there was a big crack in the earth, probably people wouldn't worry about the software. But yes, she's correct. If that ever happened, you could contact me and let me know that you can't get into the system anymore, and we'd get you into a different system. But yeah, the point is, this is a tool that Trinity is giving you as part of the umbrella of services and care that they provide that will be valuable your entire lifetime. Any insights? Does anybody want to share anything that they might have learned by just creating an account and playing with it?
When I did the workplace preferences, a lot of the answers kind of surprised me. Things I never really thought about, but I had strong opinions about.
Yeah. I love that, Ben. This is a real world example. I'm a 55-year-old guy, and I was a corporate executive before I started this company. And that company didn't want to lose me. So what did they do? They told me that I would have a job forever. Oh, you're going to work in this company forever. I don't want or need stability. So they were saying that, but it wasn't important to me. They were saying, you know what we could do? We can give you that really cool corner office. Working conditions is not a driver for me, right? But what happened is, as that 55-year-old guy listening to my employer offering things, I forgot my why. I forgot the things that are really important to me. And I love that you've kind of got an insight to thinking about workplace preferences maybe a little different, and it'll make a big difference when you interview with companies. The students and the applicants that are applying for really great jobs, there's a lot of really smart people graduating from really good schools. The thing that sets those applicants apart is how they talk about themselves, right? How they know that they're a good fit for the particular job that they have open, and your ability to articulate why. And if you can do it from the perspective of, I am a passionate fit for this type of work you're hiring, and then you can back it up by data, that's what employers are looking for today, both on the internship, the experiential learning process, and then your career services people that, or your career people that you're going to work with as you enter into your career and then go upward mobility.